Hello everyone and welcome to this video. If you guys applied to fall 21, that means your admits are going to start rolling in. Now it's February, so like February, March, April, May, this is usually the time, when admits come in, right? So then you will inevitably be faced with the question of, which university to choose amongst your admits. Now this is something that I sort of struggled with when I got my admits, so I want to make a video so that you guys understand how this process works and hopefully make the decision a little bit easier for you. Now there are going to be three main factors that you need to look into when you are deciding on which university to choose, okay? The first of these factors is the ranking. So obviously ranking is one of the most important factors when it comes to selecting a university for you to go to, right? But it's not as easy as just, picking the university with the highest ranking. It's a little bit more complex than that, right? So there's a lot of other things to look at, like program structure, costs, and all that kind of stuff. But what you can do is you can use this ranking factor to sort of bring down your list to maybe two or three universities that you can, pick out of. So how you guys do this is essentially you go to topuniversities.com and then you find the global rankings and then you find your particular university, right? And then of course, if you have like multiple choices, you can type out the names for all those universities and you can sort of figure out, what are the relative rankings of those universities. Now, if you want to go, for overall rank and subject rank, again, it's totally up to you depending on what you choose, right? So generally the rule of thumb is that if a university has either a good overall ranking or a good subject ranking, then it's going to offer, quality education. If it has neither of those things, then probably it's not a great university. Okay, so using this ranking, if you guys have say 4 admits or 5 admits or 3 admits, you can bring that number down to say 2 or 3 in your final shortlist. So for me personally, I had 3 admits and I used rankings to bring that number down to 2, right? So I basically selected the top 2 universities among my 3 admits and then I sort of, decided, okay, which one of these universities should I go to? Right? Similarly, if you guys have 3 admits, you can bring it down to 2 using this ranking factor. Pick the two highest ranked universities in that list. If you have 5 admits, then you can either bring it down to 2 or 3, totally up to you. Now the second factor that you need to consider is the program structure, right? So program structure is going to vary greatly across universities. So depending on the university that you're applying to, again, the program structures can be completely different. The first thing that you need to consider, again, when you are looking at program structure is the length of the degree, right? So there are, for example, there's 1-year MBA programs, there's 2-year MBA programs, there's 1.5-year master's programs, there's 1-year programs, 2-year programs, 2.5 years master's programs. Again, it varies greatly across universities and countries. Now, generally the rule of thumb is if you have 2 years for an MBA or 2 years for a master's, that's sufficient time for you to be able to, sort of adapt to the style of teaching at that university, grasp all the information needed, and, be a part of all the networking events, and, basically build all your soft skills and stuff before you move on to, start your career, right? So 2 years is like the optimal amount. So I know that some people do go for like 1.5-year degrees or maybe degrees that are even longer than 2 years. If that's something that you are cool with, then of course go for it. But ideally, again, 2 years is the best. And the second thing that you need to consider with program structure is how much the courses sort of align with your goals, right? So the best way for me to explain this to you is sort of just tell you guys, what happened to me, right? So for me, I had my 3 admits. I had Penn, I had CMU, and I had Purdue, right? So I sort of eliminated Purdue because it was the lowest ranked amongst these 3 universities, right? So I had Penn and I had Carnegie Mellon. So between Penn and Carnegie Mellon, of course, Carnegie Mellon had like a better robotics program, better mechanical engineering program and stuff. Penn, not so much, but what Penn did have is that, they had like this whole business backing, right? Which means that, in their master's in mechanical engineering program, they allow you to take sort of entrepreneurship electives and stuff. And that sort of more aligns with my career goals. When I looked at Carnegie Mellon, right, they did have like a few business programs, related to like master's course, but they were not so clearly defined as they were for Penn. And then when I attended the Carnegie Mellon webinars to ask for these courses, my questions sort of went unanswered. So I sort of understood that, business is not like a big thing at Carnegie Mellon. If I was more interested in, engineering, entrepreneurship and stuff, then UPenn was the way to go, right? So that's how I chose UPenn for my graduate school. Similarly, depending on the kind of courses that your target university may offer, you should be, basing your decision on that, right? So essentially, which university should you pick if you want your career to look in a specific way, right? Which university offers courses that are better suited, more closely in line with your own career goals. And the third most important factor for a lot of you guys will be cost, right? So I know a lot of students that, tend to get into really good universities and stuff, but then those universities may be really expensive, so then they choose to opt for, lesser ranked universities. So based on the tuition rate and the cost of living, for living at those cities, you can decide. If you guys want to find out how to find the cost of living as a student in cities around the world, I will leave a link in the description to a video that I did covering this concept. So the 3 most important factors are ranking, program structure, and tuition fees. And tuition, sort of fees all together. Now, there are other factors that may impact your decision like location, climate, friends, family, but these are the 3 key factors that you need to keep in mind when selecting your admits. And that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, leave a like, and if you loved it, subscribe as well. I'll be back with more graduate program related information. Bye-bye.